Naruto. Opening choice of infinite chakra at the beginning. Chapter 41. The next morning, Yi Fei got up and went to a shop selling flowers and plants. Boss, do you have any bamboo? I need about a dozen. Yi Fei looked at the things in the store and said to the boss. The boss nodded. Yes, some, but now they are all small bamboos, and they need to be planted later to grow up. Yi Fei nodded. It is still difficult to buy some bamboos in this place. After buying the small bamboos home, plant them all. In this way, you can have a lot of bamboo to eat in the future. After buying them, Yi Fei took the bamboo seedlings back home. He found an empty place to plant them as quickly as possible. He stood up and looked at his results and was very satisfied. There is no problem now. We can have lots and lots of bamboos when the time is right. I never thought that one day I would do something like this. Yi Fei sat on the ground and smiled helplessly. Now that there are no tasks, Yi Fei feels that day by day, there is nothing to do. It is very boring. I really hope to have a mission soon. It's better than staying at home all the time. Yi Fei held his face with his hands, then looked at the sky and said softly. Dong dong dong. There was a knock on the door. Since he got the system to make friends, someone would knock on Yi Fei's door almost every once in a while. Most of the people who came in by knocking on the door were his friends. The members of the Anbu didn't have this habit. Come on, come on. Yi Fei stood up, dusted himself off and walked to the door. Itachi, why are you here? Long time no see. After Yi Fei opened the door, he saw Uchiha Itachi. It's been a long time. Why haven't you come to school for these days? I always thought you were on leave, and I only found out about you yesterday through Yamamoto Kamikawa. Itachi Uchiha stood in front of Yi Fei and said to him. Yi Fei was stunned for a moment, thinking that he had forgotten to tell him about this matter. I am so sorry. I was so busy these days that I forgot about you. Yi Fei felt really embarrassed now. Uchiha Itachi shook his head gently and walked in. The two found a place in the yard and sat down. It's okay. This is fine. You impressed me again. Now I have set a new goal. Graduating from school early. Only in this way can I keep up with you. Uchiha Itachi looked at Yi Fei and said confidently. Yi Fei looked at Uchiha Itachi and nodded with a smile. This operation was indeed within Yi Fei's expectations. Okay, I'll wait for you. With your talent, it must be easier than mine. Yi Fei looked at Uchiha Itachi and smiled. Uchiha Itachi nodded. At this time, I suddenly found that there was a bamboo forest in the yard. He pointed to that place. Why did you suddenly start planting bamboo? It looks like it was planted not long ago. Yi Fei nodded gently. Just before you came. There is really nothing to do at home. And seeing that the yard is so empty, it would be better to plant something. Yi Fei scratched his head awkwardly, and then said in a low voice. Uchiha Itachi nodded. He didn't want to think too much about these things, and there was no need. After chatting for a while, Yi Fei returned to the living room and came out with a water cup. He filled the cup with water, and then began to invite Uchiha Itachi to drink water. After all, this is almost the way to treat guests. Yi Fei and Uchiha Itachi talked about many interesting things that happened during the mission. This also made Uchiha Itachi more willing to graduate quickly so that he could go out on missions. Staying in school all the time, he would never learn those things. Although Anbu is not the only choice after graduation, he will definitely go out on missions. Yi Fei suddenly felt a murderous aura, and it was nearby. Hush, something's going on. Yi Fei immediately made a gesture, then looked around alertly. Uchiha Itachi immediately understood, then sat there and didn't dare to move, but his eyes had already begun to observe the surroundings. I don't know who they are, but they shouldn't be many. Don't move yet, we don't know where they are yet. Yi Fei looked at Uchiha Itachi in front of him and whispered to him. Uchiha Itachi nodded. At this time, a man in black clothes appeared on the roof of Yi Fei's house. His appearance was really ordinary, and he even covered his face with something. Where is he? Yi Fei looked around, very nervous. The person who attacked them could make them feel murderous instantly, so he must not be an ordinary person. Option A. Kill the attacker. Completion reward. Overlord color change. Option B. Injure the attacker and find the mastermind behind the attack. Completion reward. A girl's heart. Looking at this option, Yi Fei had 1,000 alpacas running through his mind. What is this? The second one can find the mastermind behind the attack, but the reward is a bit weird, and there is no designated girl. There is no other choice. In the end, Yi Fei chose option A. Seeing that the surroundings were very quiet, and there was no one who could be found in the tree. Where is the enemy? Yi Fei's heartbeat accelerated. He dared not relax at all. At this moment, he suddenly thought of a place. If the enemy was not in the yard, then he could only be on the roof. And the view there was relatively open, which was very suitable for a sneak attack. Be careful up there. Yi Fei made a gesture to face up, and then whispered. Uchiha Itachi instantly understood and slowly took out his weapon. Holding the weapon, he slowly stood up and prepared to walk out from under the eaves. Swish, swish, swish. As soon as his right foot stepped out, 3 shurikens attacked and accurately pierced into the soil. It seems to be correct. Yi Fei has now confirmed that the enemy is on the roof. Flying Thunder God technique. He instantly disappeared from the spot, appeared on the roof, and found the enemy who was looking down. Finally found you. Yi Fei quickly came behind the enemy, clenched his fist, and attacked. But to his surprise, his fist actually pierced the enemy's body. Then he found that it was just an afterimage of the enemy. So fast, Yi Fei immediately began to look for the enemy's position again. Uchiha Itachi also began to look for the enemy in the yard. Just like that, the battle was about to break out. The enemy's speed was terrifying, as if he knew everything. The operation just now was like a god's prediction. After Yi Fei observed carefully, he found that the enemy appeared on the tree again. Just when their eyes met each other. Swish, swish, swish. 3 shurikens attacked again in an instant. Yi Fei turned hurriedly and dodged the 3 shurikens with his body. It's so fast, and there's no extra movement at all. Yi Fei came to the yard at the fastest speed and stood beside Uchiha Itachi. Both of them knew where the enemy was, but they didn't dare to act rashly. This time the enemy gave them a very terrible feeling. We must hurry and find a solution. The longer we deal with this enemy, the less beneficial it will be for us. Judging from the way he attacked just now, he must be very strong. Yi Fei said in a low voice. Uchiha Itachi nodded. The enemy stood on the tree and looked at the two of them as if they were ants. And his eyes were always fixed on Yi Fei. It was obvious that Yi Fei was his main target this time. Go! With a command, the two of them immediately began to surround the enemy from both sides. The speed was very fast, not wanting to give the enemy any breathing time. The enemy stood on the big tree and looked at the two of them calmly. Yi Fei rushed to the side of the enemy, instantly took out 3 kunai and threw them. Uchiha Itachi formed seals with both hands and used the Great Fireball technique. The kunai and the fireball rushed towards the enemy together. The enemy's body showed some subtle changes, and then the whole person disappeared on the spot. Oh no, get out of the way. Since Yi Fei had better vision, he immediately noticed that the enemy had disappeared. Uchiha Itachi immediately turned from the air and landed on the ground. Yi Fei watched the collision between the fireball and the kunai. Bang! An explosion sounded. One side of the tree was instantly reduced to ashes. The two looked at the enemy who appeared in the yard again. His speed is too fast, we must think of a way to. Itachi, be careful. Yi Fei took out the short knife and said loudly. Uchiha Itachi nodded and took out his weapon at the same time. Very tacitly, they rushed towards the enemy at the same time. The enemy stretched out his palm and instantly turned into a long knife. Yi Fei took the lead and rushed to the enemy and started fighting. Crackling. The weapons collided with each other and made a metal collision sound, and sparks flew. The enemy seemed very comfortable under Yi Fei's fierce attack. Yi Fei attacked many times but failed to hurt the enemy. This also made him a little disappointed. Awesome. Yi Fei looked at Uchiha Itachi who was approaching the enemy and quickly retreated to leave him enough space. Yi Fei retreated and Uchiha Itachi began to attack. In this way, the two of them took turns to attack the enemy. Under the attack of the two of them, the enemy gradually became a little tired. The round-robin battle was indeed a good idea. The speed was not as fast as before. Yi Fei smiled softly after seeing the enemy's performance. Itachi, I feel like he's about to collapse, let's check him out. Yi Fei said to Uchiha Itachi while attacking. Uchiha Itachi nodded. The enemy seemed like an inhumane killing tool. His own physical strength was decreasing, but he had no intention of escaping. This made Yifei feel very strange. Even if it was a killing machine without human feelings. In this case, he should have thought of escaping. It seems that there is indeed something fishy going on here. Yifei retreated, forming seals with both hands. Water style. Mist hidden. Itachi, don't move. As he exhaled, the three of them were instantly surrounded by white mist. After seeing this, Uchiha Itachi immediately stood still, not daring to move easily. The enemy also stood still because he couldn't see anything, and stopped attacking. He kept taking a defensive posture. My home court is here. Yifei simply stretched his muscles and said with a smile. Looking at the figures in the white mist, he immediately determined which one was the enemy. He quickly moved and rushed up. Die! Yifei came behind the enemy and raised the knife in his hand to chop him down. But he didn't expect that the enemy could react in the first time. He turned around quickly and blocked the knife in front of him. Bang! The two weapons collided with each other and made a very crisp sound. The enemy's operation really shocked Yifei. What's going on? Before Yifei could react, the enemy's leg attacked first. A kick hit Yifei's stomach. He flew out instantly. Puff! A strong smell of blood came into his mouth. It's not easy to deal with. Yifei stood up and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. The enemy looked at the thick white fog around him and did not pursue him. Looking at the figure in the fog, Yifei prepared to attack again. He rushed up quickly with both hands holding the weapon tightly. This time he chose to attack from below and from bottom to top. He came to the back of the enemy, squatted down in sequence, and immediately stabbed with the weapon in his hand. Bang! Although the enemy did not resist this time, Yifei's weapon broke immediately after colliding with the enemy. What? The broken blade flew out and accurately pierced the beam. Yifei looked at the enemy's intact body and was stunned again. What kind of body could be so strong? At this time, Yifei realized that this enemy was not as simple as he imagined. The enemy slowly turned around and stared at Yifei in front of him. Reaching out, he instantly grasped Yifei's neck. Woo woo woo. Yifei had no way to make any sound. And it was very painful, and he felt that he was about to die. Uchiha Itachi listened carefully to the movements around him and found something unusual. Yifei slowly looked up and was about to faint. The white mist also slowly went up at this time. Yifei. After Uchiha Itachi waited for Bai Wu to go up, he saw the scene in front of him and panicked instantly. There was no way now, so he continued to wait. He rushed directly to the enemy with his weapon and started to attack frantically. Although there were many gaps in the weapon in his hand, he still did not stop. Under the attack of Uchiha Itachi, the enemy slowly loosened his hands. Yifei lay on the ground and coughed desperately. The enemy had already begun to twist with Uchiha Itachi. What the hell is this thing? After Yifei recovered, he stood up and looked at the enemy's skillful movements. It might be the effect of the white mist just now, which gave him some time to breathe. Now his speed has increased again. Wind style. Vacuum jade. Itachi, get up quickly. Yifei reminded loudly. Uchiha Itachi watched Yifei quickly evacuate the battle and came to the side. He aimed well and spit out all the chakra in his mouth. Countless chakra balls flew towards the enemy. Bang bang bang. The moment they touched the enemy's body, explosions sounded. Although it did not have the effect he imagined, it still caused some damage to the enemy. In particular, obvious scars appeared on the same place that had been attacked. Yifei also discovered this bug at the first time. It seems that this enemy is not invincible. That's a lot easier to deal with. Yifei took out a kunai and smiled. He rushed up without waiting for the enemy to react. The place where he had just caused damage to the enemy was now receiving the baptism of Yifei. The enemy was a little different from before. After being attacked again, his movements slowly became sluggish. And it seemed that he had forgotten to resist. It works. Yifei said happily as he watched the enemy change. Now that he has found the enemy's weakness, he will destroy him in one go. The enemy just wanted to raise his hand to block, but Yifei pulled his arm back from behind. Looking at the many wounds on his body, Yifei gradually became excited. The enemy is really like a robot, with no sense of pain at all. Even after suffering such a great injury to his body, he did not let out a painful wail. This also made Yi Fei feel very strange. It seems that you are really not an ordinary human being. Even, you may not be a human being. Yi Fei has now created countless wounds on the enemy. And this enemy has lost his basic combat ability. Although his body is very tough, he can't withstand the fierce attack from one place. Yi Fei, what on earth is this? Uchiha Itachi looked at the enemy who had no power to fight back and asked loudly. Yi Fei stopped what he was doing and came to his side. Now the enemy stood there unable to move. I don't know what this is exactly. But it's definitely not a good thing. Yi Fei shook his head. So far, he didn't know who sent these people to attack him. In addition to Yi Fei, there was also Uchiha Itachi. But the enemy obviously only attacked Yi Fei, which confirmed that the enemy was coming for Yi Fei. Forget it, no matter what it is, just get rid of it. Yi Fei looked at the enemy and said helplessly. Although he was very reluctant to kill him, this enemy should not reveal anything. And it is very likely that he will not run away. Just like the last time, the enemy will take medicine and commit suicide. Yi Fei picked up the broken weapon and slowly came to the enemy. Heroic color, attach. Yi Fei suddenly remembered this method. He can attach the heroic color to any weapon. Not only can it increase the durability of the weapon, but it can also increase its power. Die. Yi Fei aimed at the enemy's neck and chopped it hard. Green blood spurted out instantly, which surprised the two of them. They didn't expect that the enemy's blood would be green. With one slash, the enemy slowly collapsed to the ground with white eyes. Gradually, he became a cold corpse. It's really strange. Why is it green? Yi Fei looked at the blood on the ground and said curiously. Uchiha Itachi also came over and squatted on the ground looking at the green blood. Obviously, both of them were attracted by such blood. They all knew that the blood of ordinary humans is red and has temperature. The blood that the enemy sprayed out just now had no heat at all, just a pool of cold green blood. Itachi, do you have any ideas? Yi Fei turned his head and looked at Uchiha Itachi. Uchiha Itachi did not speak, but shook his head gently. It seems that this matter must not be that simple. Maybe someone will come more in the future. Yi Fei stood up and looked around, then said in a low voice. What he feared most now was that he had been monitored by others. Ding, mission completed, rewards are being merged. The mission completed sound was not taken too seriously. Yi Fei wanted to know if there were any other enemies around. Being able to act recklessly in this village must be someone in this village. But it is still unknown who it is. After thinking carefully, he found that there was no one else except Danzo who he had offended. After running out of ideas, the two of them dealt with the body together. Alas, the good days are only a few days away, and people keep attacking me. It's really unlucky. The most important thing is, I don't know who wants to kill me. Yi Fei sat in the yard and looked up at the sky and said in a low voice. Uchiha Itachi shook his head and didn't know where these people came from. There is another possibility. Suddenly, Uchiha Itachi said. Yi Fei became alert. Tell me about it. Uchiha Itachi looked at Yi Fei and sorted out his thoughts. This guy is definitely not human. They might be experimental subjects. I don't know who is controlling them. But now there is only this possibility. Uchiha Itachi said thoughtfully. After listening to it, Yi Fei seemed to have an idea. After hearing what you said, I actually have some ideas. Yi Fei suddenly thought of the man who attacked him for the first time. And he still had a special impression of him. But that man's blood was obviously red. If this idea is correct, then we can only verify it. Yi Fei suddenly stood up and came to the place where he had just dealt with the enemy. He dug the enemy out of the soil and took off his mask. Uchiha Itachi didn't understand why he did this. But out of curiosity, he followed. Really, it's exactly the same as I imagined. Yi Fei looked at the enemy's face and smiled gently. This time the enemy had the same face as the last time. This proved that the two enemies were controlled by the same person. And it was more certain that they were all clones. They have the same face, and they won't disappear like their shadow clones after they die. This also means that they are clones. Yi Fei laughed happily. What made him even happier was that he already knew who was playing tricks. The only person in the entire Konoha village who could do such a thing was Orochimaru. Shimura Danzo would not have such an experiment. Orochimaru is now suspect number 1. Yi-Fei looked up at Uchiha Itachi's puzzled face and explained to him the previous enemy. So that's how it is. It seems my guess is correct. Uchiha Itachi nodded, not quite understanding. Yi-Fei felt that he had guessed almost everything. Suddenly, a very powerful genius popped up. He had always been a very ordinary person before. He suddenly became a ninja in the Anbu, and he had such a strong fighting power. How could Orochimaru have the heart to let go of such a good experimental subject? It doesn't matter, in that case. Then let's have some fun. Anyway, I've been too bored lately. Yi-Fei looked at the sky and said with a smile. Yi-Fei's operation made Uchiha Itachi feel very confused. No one has ever liked such a thing, except Yi-Fei. In the following time, the two dealt with the body again. Then all the traces of the battle just now were dealt with at home. Time soon came to the evening. Uchiha Itachi said goodbye after feeling that the time was almost up, and he would slowly return to his home. Through today's battle, Uchiha Itachi felt that the gap between himself and Yi-Fei had widened again. Everyone is working hard to become stronger. Yi-Fei was still lying in the yard leisurely as usual. After obtaining the new reward, he already knew the role of the conqueror's color change. He can feel everything around him by releasing the majesty of the conqueror's color. This also made him feel a lot more at ease. After all, releasing this conqueror's color does not consume much physical strength at all. Lying in the yard is very leisurely, and he can also feel everything around him. At night, the sky is so beautiful. It is full of shining stars. Sitting on the ground and looking up at the starry sky is really a special feeling. It looks like tomorrow will be a good day. But I don't know what to do. Yi-Fei said quietly while lying on the chair and looking at the sky. He felt more and more interesting after experiencing some things today. Although he didn't take it to heart, he still couldn't help thinking about it. I don't know what unexpected things will happen tomorrow. It would be too boring if it remained so dull. Looking at the very bright stars in the sky, Yi-Fei smiled. These stars were like his guiding lights. They guided him forward in the darkness. It was getting late, and Yi-Fei felt a little sleepy, so he packed up his things and went back to the room to sleep. There was nothing to do tomorrow, so he planned to sleep in and have a good rest. Yi-Fei lay on the bed, his mind full of random thoughts. I don't know when it started, but I would think about something every night before going to bed. I always felt that I would fall asleep faster that way. Yi-Fei has had this habit for a long time. Lying on the bed with his eyes closed, he has been thinking about things about himself. Most of them are not completed yet, or are about to happen. Sure enough, this method is great, and he fell asleep in the blink of an eye. The next day, Yi-Fei did not get up as early as usual. He slept in bed all the time, and his expression was very happy. After such a long time, this is the first time he feels that he sleeps very comfortably. Dong dong dong. At around 9 o'clock in the morning, there was a knock on the door. But Yi-Fei was still sleeping at this time and didn't hear it. Dong dong dong. Maybe there was no response, and the knock on the door rang again. Yi-Fei opened his eyes drowsily and felt someone knocking on his door. What the hell, someone is looking for me so early in the morning. Yi-Fei rubbed his eyes and said in disbelief. Dong dong dong. Ah Fei, are you there? Mu Emu's voice came from outside the door. Yi-Fei suddenly became alert after hearing Mu Emu's voice. He immediately put on his shoes and went to the living room. Here, wait for me and I'll open the door for you in a moment. Yi-Fei shouted loudly to the outside. After knowing that it was Mu Mu knocking on the door, he became very happy. He quickly put on his clothes and ran to the door. Creak. He opened the door of his house and saw a pure girl standing outside. Hello, Mumu. Why did you think of coming to see me today? Yi-Fei looked at Mu Mu outside the door and said with a smile. Why can't I come to you if I have nothing to do? Besides, we are friends. To be precise, you are my savior. Mu Mu looked at Yi-Fei with his hands behind his back and said mischievously. Yi-Fei smiled and nodded. He opened the door of his house and walked in. Mu Mu looked at the furnishings in Yi-Fei's house and was very curious. This was her first time to come to Yi-Fei's house. I didn't expect your home to be so deserted. It seems that you don't eat at home very often. Miu Miu suddenly noticed the pots and pans in the kitchen, and said with a smile. Yi Fei scratched his head a little embarrassedly. You've seen this. No wonder I have to cook for myself after returning home, it's really too much trouble. Yi Fei said with a smile. Miu Miu pouted slightly and nodded. By the way, why did you suddenly want to come to see me, and so early in the morning? If I hadn't heard you knocking on the door, I would still be sleeping. I was really too sleepy yesterday, and a little tired. Yi Fei stretched and said lazily. Miu Miu squinted his eyes and looked at Yi Fei up and down. Then he nodded gently. It seems that just as he said, he really has no energy now. Actually, there is nothing to do. I just want to go shopping with you. If you are really very sleepy, forget it, you can continue to sleep. Anyway, I'm not particularly anxious. Miu Miu turned around and looked at the person next to her and said angrily. Yi Fei looked at Miu Miu's performance. Although he had never been in a relationship, he could see that she was angry. How can that be possible? I promised you that I would protect you at all times. Since you want to go shopping with me, I will go with you. Yi Fei said with a smile and vowed. What's wrong? Aren't you sleepy now? Miu Miu turned around and looked at Yi Fei with a wicked smile. Yi Fei shook his head desperately. He knew that if he made a girl angry, the consequences would be very serious. Okay, in that case, I'll wait for you. Take the time to clean up and wash your face. It's still very early now, we still have plenty of time to go shopping. So there is no need to be anxious. Miu Miu looked at Yi Fei and said with a smile. After that, he came to the sofa and sat down. Looking at Miu Miu, Yi Fei shook his head weakly. Girls are so scary. Let's hurry up and pack up. Otherwise, something weird will happen later. Yi Fei shook his head and thought silently in his heart. He packed up his things as quickly as he could and washed his face. After everything was sorted out, he came to Miu Miu's side. It's all packed, let's go now. I washed my face and now I feel more energetic. Yi Fei looked at her and said with a smile. Miu Miu nodded at the energetic Yi Fei. The two walked to the street together. Looking at the people walking back and forth, Yi Fei was a little confused. If you come out for a purpose, it's fine. If you come out without a purpose, you can only wander around the street. That's really boring. It's better to sleep at home. I really didn't expect it to be so warm outside now. It was still a little cold when I came to see you this morning. Miu Miu said, looking at the sky. Yi Fei nodded. Although there was nothing to buy, the two of them still walked on the street for more than an hour. Shopping is indeed a girl's nature. She didn't say a word of tiredness for such a long time. On the contrary, Yi Fei felt that he was almost dead tired. Moreover, he didn't eat this morning, so he had no strength left. I said, why don't we go eat something first? It will also allow me to have a good rest. I am really too hungry now and have no strength at all. Yi Fei looked at Miu Miu and said weakly. Miu Miu frowned slightly and pouted. It's only been a short time, I'm already tired. You are useless, little brother. Miu Miu looked at Yi Fei and smiled. Sister, imagine if you were asked not to eat in the morning and then walk for such a long time without rest. Can you bear it? Yi Fei looked at Miu Miu and retorted. Miu Miu nodded thoughtfully, and then decided to go eat something before continuing shopping. Anyway, it was only noon now. Although Yi Fei had no strength left and was a little sleepy, he would feel very comfortable if he could have a full meal at this time. Is there anything you want to eat? Let's go eat. Miu Miu looked at the restaurants around and felt a little confused. After hearing what Miu Miu said, Yi Fei thought for a while and then looked around. I don't really have any particular recommendations. If it's just to fill your stomach, does it matter where you eat? If possible, let's go eat ramen. The portion is large and you can eat enough. Yi Fei thought about it carefully and then said. Miu Miu thought for a moment and nodded. In that case, we can only go eat ramen. Is it Ichiraku ramen? Miu Miu looked around them and asked. Yi Fei nodded. This ramen is indeed the memory of many people. And most people are their customers. After deciding, the two walked towards Ichiraku ramen together. Although they had no strength left, Miu Miu looked at both sides on the way over. He was thinking about whether there was anything he wanted to buy. Take a look now, and you can come here to buy it right after dinner. I'm so hungry. Now I feel like a corpse without a soul. There are only 2 words in his eyes, ramen. Yi Fei was so hungry that he looked like a human. He had no strength to walk around. If someone didn't know, they would think he was sick. Miu Miu looked at him and felt very ridiculous. Okay, hurry up, we can have a good meal when we get there. Miu Miu suddenly grabbed Yi Fei's hand and ran forward. Yi Fei was stunned for a moment. This was the first time he touched a girl's hand. He had an indescribable feeling in his heart. Seeing their hands holding together, his heartbeat became faster and faster. His face became redder and redder. A few minutes later, the 2 of them ran to the front of the entertainment ramen restaurant. It's finally here. Hey, Fei, why is your face so red? Miu Miu turned around and saw Yi Fei with a red face, and became curious. Nothing, probably because I ran away just now. Yi Fei hurriedly broke free from the hand that was being held, and then looked at the side and said awkwardly. He was suddenly held by the hand, and his face turned red. If Miu Miu knew about this, it would be terrible. Well, let's hurry up and go in. Miu Miu didn't think much and turned around and walked into the ramen shop. Yi Fei breathed a sigh of relief when he saw Miu Miu walk in. He patted his face gently. Cheer up, don't be embarrassed about your hands. I'm not taking advantage of you. Yi Fei whispered to himself. After calming down, he slowly walked into the ramen shop. He hadn't felt hungry just now. After entering the ramen shop, he smelled the fragrance coming towards him, and instantly felt very hungry again. It smells so good. It's really sinful to smell this smell at this time. Boss, give me a bowl of pork bone char siu ramen, with more char siu. Yi Fei sat next to Miu Miu and said loudly to the boss. Miu Miu smiled at Yi Fei, who instantly became energetic. He also ordered a bowl of the same pork bone char siu ramen. He had never eaten this kind of ramen before. It's really abominable. The moment I walked in, I felt hungry again. I really don't know how Uncle Ichiraku makes such delicious ramen. If I could have his skills, I would never open a restaurant. Yi Fei looked at Uncle Yil, who was busy, and said in a low voice with a smile on his face. If I don't open a restaurant, will I just starve? If you don't make money, you can't even buy noodles. Miu Miu looked at Yi Fei and whispered. Yi Fei pouted his lips slightly. The 2 of them didn't say anything during this period of time. After all, they were very hungry. The moment Miu Miu walked into the ramen shop, he felt the hunger coming from his stomach. Maybe it was because of the smell inside. After waiting for a few minutes, all the ramen they wanted was placed in front of them. Looking at the golden ramen, the 2 of them drooled. I'm going to eat. Yi Fei took out a pair of chopsticks from the side and said very impolitely. Miu Miu was completely different from him. He slowly took out the chopsticks, put them on the bowl, put his hands together, and closed his eyes. There are so many things to do. Yi Fei looked at Miu Miu's series of actions and complained inadvertently. Yi Fei had never done these things when eating in this world. After all, there were not so many rules in the previous world. Looking at the golden ramen, Yi Fei couldn't help it anymore. He directly picked up a big mouthful with chopsticks, put it in his mouth and started chewing. Gulp. Delicious. Yi Fei gave a thumbs up with great satisfaction. This is the best ramen restaurant in Konoha. Miu Miu slowly opened her eyes at this time and began to eat ramen in small bites. Although she also felt that the ramen was very delicious, it was not that exaggerated. She was smiling throughout the whole process of eating ramen. This also shows that the ramen is very delicious. Yi Fei ate the ramen in big mouthfuls, and made a snoring sound. He felt that eating ramen in this way was the greatest respect for the ramen master. It's so delicious, I'm very satisfied now. And after eating this big bowl, one can't eat anything else. After finishing his meal, Yi Fei leaned back in his chair and touched his round belly. Miu Miu still had more than half a bowl of ramen. Yi Fei turned around and looked at Miu Miu, who was eating ramen. He felt that there was nothing to do, so he just lay on the table and observed her. I didn't expect you to eat so slowly. Is it really good to eat like this? Yi Fei asked incredulously. Miu Miu shook his head. It's good to eat slowly like this. At least give the food enough time to digest. And it's not easy to gain weight. Miu Miu moved the hair next to his ears and said softly. I wonder if all of you girls eat like this. I'm really curious. Yi Fei sat up straight again. After coming to this world, he found that he had changed a lot. He had to eat a lot more than before, and sometimes he felt very tired. But at least he was growing better, and his sleep quality was much better than before. Looking at the endless stream of customers in the ramen shop, Yifei smiled. He knew that the owner of this ramen shop was a very remarkable person. Any place could be destroyed, but this ramen shop would not be destroyed. Time passed by minute, and the people who came here to eat with them had already left. Miu Miu had just finished his ramen at this time. He drank a few sips of soup and wiped his mouth. Finally finished eating. I have to say, the portion is really too big. But the taste is really good. Miu Miu looked at the bowl in front of him and said happily. Yifei was stunned. Do you know how long it takes you to eat? I really don't understand you girls. Why are you so slow when eating? I saw you guys were quite active when we were shopping. Yifei looked at the girl in front of him and asked in confusion. Miu Miu smiled and shook his head. Maybe it's because we are not suitable for physical work. Of course, it's limited to shopping. We have to eat slowly so we don't gain weight. But it's fine now, it didn't take long. Miu Miu looked at Yifei and said with a smile. Yifei was very helpless, but he didn't have any idea to refute. The two stood up, paid the bill and walked out of the ramen restaurant. After walking out, the two felt very comfortable and full of strength. This feeling is really great. At this moment, I can beat 10 at once. Yifei clenched his fists and said confidently. I don't know if you can beat 10 at once. But I know you'll have to go shopping with me later. Miu Miu poured cold water on Yifei. Are you kidding me? I finally had some confidence, but you extinguished it. You were really good at it. Yifei said angrily, but he didn't dare to be really angry. Miu Miu couldn't help but smile, and then quickened her pace and walked forward. Yifei hurried to follow her. In this way, the two of them walked through several streets in one day. During this period of time, they also bought a lot of things. But many things were in Yifei's hands. I finally understood. Boys go out shopping to act as tools. And when girls buy things, they are really not polite at all. I'm really curious, where did they get so much money from? Yifei held so many things he had just bought in his arms, and thought curiously. What are you thinking about there? Hurry up and catch up. I have a lot of things I need to buy. We have to hurry up. Otherwise, the store will probably be closed. Miu Miu waved to Yifei and said loudly. Yifei nodded in disagreement. He quickened his pace and followed. Today, the two of them did nothing. But they bought a lot of things. Shopping was what they did all day. I didn't expect to buy so many things today. Now I finally understand why I was asked to go shopping together. Yifei looked at the many products in front of him and felt incredible. Actually, I have no choice. Anyway, thanks to your help this time. I will treat you to a meal when I have time in the future. Miu Miu blinked and said with a smile. Yifei still had no resistance to Miu Miu. Although he said some denials, he had already accepted it in his heart. After Yifei separated from Miu Miu at night, he went home and lay on the bed without moving at all. After a day of shopping, his legs were no longer his. Yifei felt that shopping was much more tiring than training. It's really tiring. I don't want to move at all. I just want to lie on the bed and have a good rest. Yifei slowly took off his clothes, then lay on the bed and breathed a sigh of relief. After a day of shopping, now lying on the bed feels extremely comfortable. If something like this happens again, don't go there alone. I have to find someone to accompany me. Yifei suddenly thought of a very good idea. Finding someone to go with him would reduce his burden. But then he thought again, if he really went on a date, it would be so troublesome to bring a light bulb with him. I really don't understand what these girls are thinking. Be more careful next time. Yifei turned around and lay on the bed, saying weakly. He was very sleepy today, and then he walked all day. Now he feels that his whole body is light. He struggled to get up, went to the bathroom, washed his face, and brushed his teeth. After he was done, he returned to the bed and lay down to sleep. Tonight was a night he slept particularly comfortably. And he was snoring all the time. But I have to say that sleeping like this is really comfortable. After a tiring day, he can finally have a good rest. The next morning, he did not get up early as usual. Because of yesterday's experience, he is now very, very sleepy. He slept until noon the next day before slowly getting up. The first thing after getting up was to make sure if anyone had come to see him. He put on his clothes and went directly to the yard to listen carefully to the movements around him. So far so good. Finally I can have a good rest for a day. I don't have any friends, I feel lonely. After having friends, I feel like I don't want to be with them anymore. It's really weird. Yi Fei didn't understand what was going on with him. Now he was almost fully awake, and he went back to the living room and walked into the kitchen to start making lunch. There was no need to cook so much when he was alone at home. After making a simple meal, he started eating. While eating, Yi Fei turned his head and looked out the window. It's so boring. Spiritual beast. Yi Fei suddenly thought of a particularly good idea, stretched out his hands, and instantly formed a seal. A cloud of white mist dissipated, and a chubby panda appeared in front of him. Shitty, long time no see. It's really boring, so I asked you to come out and have dinner with me. Yi Fei said with a smile while looking at the panda. No way, Afei, you are really too boring. Shitetsu looked at the bamboo in his hand, then looked at him with some disbelief and said. What can I do about this? Okay, maybe it'll be just this once. Take care of me, Yi Fei said happily when he returned to his seat. Shiti looked at Yi Fei, and there was no change. He was still sitting there chewing bamboo. Yi Fei looked at Shiti who was eating bamboo and smiled to himself. After so long, he felt like he was eating with his family again. Shiti was the only family member who could be with him. The present time was very important to him, and it reminded him of many things in the past. The company of family members has now become a very distant thing. If you want to sit down and eat with your family in this world, you can only do it with Shiti. Yi Fei finished his meal and leaned back in his chair, rubbing his stomach. It's so comfortable. The feeling of being full is so good. Yi Fei hadn't noticed it just now, but he had actually finished all the food he had made. This also surprised him. After all, his appetite was not that big normally. Looking at the scene of the pots and pans being clean, he also felt very incredible. Yeah, I'm curious about one thing. Shiti, where are you from? I have never asked you. Yi Fei suddenly thought of a question he had wanted to ask for a long time. Shiti gnawed the bamboo in his hand and shook his head. I have already forgotten, but I know I am not from here. While chewing the bamboo in his mouth, he turned his head and looked outside. Yi Fei looked at Shitai and seemed to see his own figure. Neither of them was here at the beginning. Unknowingly, these two people were able to get together. This may be fate. No problem. If you don't remember, then forget it. Maybe there are still many bad memories in the past. In this way, we can live a good life here again. Yi Fei came to the side of Shitai and said with a smile. He nodded gently, and then continued to eat the bamboo in his hand. It seemed that he could not eat enough at any time. Yi Fei touched its head, then sat next to it and turned to look out the window. We are all miserable people. But meeting you must be arranged by God. I believe there must be a reason for it. Yi Fei looked at Shitai and thought silently. Option A. Take the iron food to train. Completion reward, iron food level +5. Option B. Take Shiti out shopping and attract attention. Completion reward, a female panda. Option C. Keep letting Shiti eat, keep eating. Completion reward, Shiti's weight +20 pounds. Looking at the three options in his mind, Yi Fei felt helpless. The options now were really getting more and more outrageous. There was no way to choose options B and C. The only option that was somewhat useful was option A. Yi Fei instantly thought of the scene of two pandas showing affection in front of him. He immediately shook his head, making the idea disappear completely. In the end, he could only choose A. Yi Fei also really wanted to know what kind of strength Shiti had. Eat iron, you can't eat all the time. Since I met you, almost every time I see you, you are eating. This won't work. Yi Fei suddenly stood up and said to it. Shitisai made his cute little head look at Yi Fei a little confused. His level was very low, and he was growing up. Isn't it normal to eat more? Let's go, it's time to take you to training. Only in this way can you grow up quickly. Yi Fei came to the room and started to pack up. He couldn't wait to see the strength of his spiritual beast. Shitai really didn't care. He just sat there and ate. I didn't expect that I would end up taking on something I shouldn't have taken on at this age. Shitai shook his head helplessly, and then whispered. In contrast, Yifei was very excited. He quickly packed up all the things and carried them on his back. After packing up, he turned around and looked at Shitai. He already had countless ideas about what was going to happen. It's really hard to imagine what kind of strength my spiritual beast has. Yifei walked on the street with what he needed. He already had countless ideas about his spiritual beast. No matter what, at least it is a spiritual beast, and its strength must be extraordinary. The old place is the only place that is very suitable. Yifei looked at the Hokage Yan Shengfei and said with a smile. He quickened his pace and soon arrived at the back mountain. The back mountain of Konoha was empty and very quiet. Sure enough, this place is very suitable for people like me who like to live alone. Then test your strength here. I hope it can bring me different results. Yifei put his equipment aside and said with a smile. He put his hands on the ground and a cloud of white mist rose up. Shiti, it's up to you now. Yifei looked at the panda in front of him and said with a smile. Shiti shook his head slightly. No, I refuse. Why? Now I suddenly feel very hungry and have no strength at all. Shitai's words almost made Yifei lie on the ground. How big is this thing's stomach? It has only been a short time since he finished eating. Now he feels hungry again. I really admire you. I was in a hurry when I came out just now, so I didn't bring anything for you. Let's see if there is anything to eat around here. Yifei looked around helplessly. But he didn't find any bamboo. It can be said that the ironworm will not eat anything except bamboo. After running out of food, the ironworm sat on the ground. Why don't we go inside and see where the bamboo is? There are very few bamboos in this place. I hope our luck is better. Then we can find food. Yifei came to the front of the food iron and whispered to it. Bang! A cloud of white mist dissipated, and Yifei looked at the empty front and shook his head helplessly. I didn't expect it to be an old man. It's really hard to please. I wonder if it will still be like this after I level up. If you go on strike because you are hungry on the battlefield, the consequences are really unimaginable. Yifei looked around and looked around. There was really no trace of bamboo around here, so he had to go inside. He picked up his equipment and strode forward. If he wanted to complete the task today, it depended on whether he could find bamboo. After walking about 200 meters inside, Yifei finally saw a few relatively tender bamboos. Great, I finally found it. But the amount is a bit small, I don't know if it can make him full. Yifei said very happily, but he was a little worried. After that, he took his weapon and came to the side of these bamboos. With a few simple strokes, he chopped down all the bamboos. Yifei looked at his harvest in front of him and nodded. Summoning the iron, Yifei watched it eat with relish. I really don't know how you evolved. It was originally a very ferocious beast. Now it has become so cute. Yifei sat down cross-legged. Crunch. Bamboo had no resistance at all in the mouth of the iron eater. After a few simple chews, it became food in the stomach. Yifei looked at his slow appearance and really didn't know when he would be full. But now there was no way at all, he could only continue to wait. The sun slowly glides across the sky, and now it is evening. Brother, have you finished your meal? We have wasted a lot of time, we must hurry up. Yifei said helplessly while lying in front of Shitai. Shitai nodded while eating bamboo. All right, now I am finally not that hungry anymore. I should be able to hold on for a while. Shitai looked at Yifei, eating bamboo in his mouth. Yifei stood up excitedly and immediately took out the props he had prepared. In this case, let's hurry up and get started. Time waits for no one, we can't waste it any longer. I'll give you all the bamboos in the house when we get home. Yifei turned around and said to it happily. Shitai stood up slowly and came to Yifei's side. After preparing everything, Yifei looked at his achievements. With these attack targets, you can definitely test your power. Don't let me down, big brother. Yifei looked at Shitai who was lazily beside him. Shitai nodded, then stood up lazily. Looking at the attack targets in front of him, he stretched his muscles like a human. Although he didn't make any sound, he was ready. I'm going to start, let you see my real strength. Shitai turned to Yifei and said with a smile. Yi Fei was very excited at the moment, he couldn't wait to see the strength of this panda. Shi Tai stared at the target in front of him. He clenched his fists hard in an instant, and his soft body became solid muscles. Yi Fei saw a muscular panda, his eyes widened. Oh my god, no way, it can actually change its form. This is really amazing. Such physical fitness is not something that ordinary people can achieve. Yi Fei couldn't help but sigh as he looked at the muscular panda. Shi Tai exuded steam all over his body, and his muscles were very obvious. He disappeared from the spot in an instant and rushed up. Bang, bang, bang. After arriving in front of the target, his fists attacked quickly. Just like a boxing panda. Quick and powerful, every attack can leave obvious marks on the target. Shi Tai's fist swung out, and there was a fist wind. When Yi Fei saw the situation in front of him, his whole worldview was refreshed again. He didn't expect that this panda could be in such a strong fighting state. Every punch was full of power. Bang bang bang. Finally, there were a few heavy punches. The target in front of him was instantly turned into debris. It's really strong. It just became slag like this. Yi Fei felt very incredible and said in surprise. Shi Tai looked at the target that he had destroyed in front of him and slowly put his hands down. His body released another stream of steam, and his muscles gradually disappeared. Oh my god, this is really amazing. I feel that your physical fitness is much stronger than mine. Yi Fei couldn't wait to come to Shi Tai's side. Shi Tai didn't make any response, lying lazily on the ground. No, there's no way to continue. What I just ate has now been completely digested. Shi Tai's words shocked Yi Fei again. Is this just a few minutes? Is that it? But it's good, after all, I have seen your strength. Yi Fei said these words to comfort himself. Before coming here, he had countless ideas, all of which were wrong. But the fighting state just shown did surprise him. That's it. Yi Fei slowly locked himself to the ground. Ding, mission completed, rewards are being merged. After hearing the mission sound, he found that the body of Shi Tai was changing. The hair became harder and more shiny. It seems that this level upgrade has made its surface harder. The resistance should be stronger than before, Yi Fei said with a smile while looking at Shi Tai, who was lying there lazily. Then, some more strange lines appeared on his body. It seems that these lines are the manifestation of his strengthening. In this way, the combat power has doubled. Yi Fei looked up at the sky and said with a smile. There was a rustling sound of leaves. Shi Tai's ears moved slowly, and it was obvious that he had heard the sound. Something is happening, it should be the enemy. Shi Tai instantly lost his lazy look. After hearing what it said, Yi Fei began to observe the surroundings. He did not expect that there would be an enemy attack at this time. If I'm not mistaken, it should be the same wave of enemies. It really is endless. Yi Fei took out his weapon and looked ahead. Suddenly 3 figures appeared in front of them. Each of them was wearing black clothes and a mask on their face. It seems that I guessed correctly. Now there are 3 of them. It's a bit tricky. Yi Fei clenched his weapon nervously. Shi Tai didn't feel any hunger at all. It might be because he just upgraded his level. Why are you panicking? There are only 3 enemies. Shi Tai slowly stood up and stretched his muscles. Yi Fei suddenly realized that he was not fighting alone this time. Looking at Shi Tai, who was ready, Yi Fei showed a happy expression on his face. Okay, my partner. Yi Fei's nervousness is gone now, replaced by excitement. The enemy looked at the man and the beast in front of him without any reaction. After all, they are ruthless killing machines. Shi Tai did not wait, switched to combat mode and rushed up directly. Seeing this, the enemy quickly launched an attack. The boxing panda is not called that for nothing. Before the enemy could make a move, Shi Tai quickly bent down and then punched. The power of this punch was too great. The enemy's belly suddenly protruded backwards. Bang! The enemy was knocked out with one punch. My god, this power is too terrifying, Yi Fei said in surprise as he looked at the battle situation. Shi Tai's power was even stronger than before. Yi Fei was not idle either. He looked at the remaining enemies and rushed up instantly. In an instant, 3 enemies wrestled with the 2 of them. These enemies seemed to have no sense of pain. There were obvious scars on their bodies, but it did not affect their attack at all. Wind style. Beast palm. Yi Fei distanced himself from the enemy, and then formed seals with his hands. Energy waves flew towards the enemy. The enemy this time was a little different from the last time. He was not as strong. Facing so many attacks, he was obviously a little flustered. He kept dodging back and forth on the spot. But he was eventually attacked. Bang! Explosions sounded. The enemy also had obvious scars on his body, and the mask on his face was also tattered. Good. Just like that, we will get rid of them all in one go. Yi Fei took out his weapon again and attacked the enemy. As for Shi Tai, Yi Fei didn't have to worry at all. The enemy was completely unable to resist his fierce attack. In less than a few minutes, the enemy was covered with scars. And several ribs were broken. Yi Fei looked at the enemies and felt a little bored. The enemies this time were not very strong and had many flaws. As long as he caught these flaws and weaknesses, he could get rid of all the enemies. Yi Fei looked at the enemies rushing towards him without panicking. Wind style. Vacuum jade. Take a deep breath, aim at the enemy and spit out all the chakra in your mouth. Small balls of energy fly quickly towards the enemy. Since the enemy has no sense of pain, even if the body is injured, it will keep rushing forward. Yi Fei shuddered after seeing this scene. It's really terrible. It would be really sad if a person couldn't even feel pain. But they can't be called human beings. Yi Fei looked at the enemies with exposed bones and said in disbelief. He rushed to the enemy and grabbed the enemy's arm with both hands. He kicked out his right leg instantly. Crack! The sound of fracture came out all at once. The enemy's arms were all broken, but even so, the enemy did not retreat at all. It's really meaningless. Shiti, understand them. Yi Fei said loudly to Shiti next to him. Shiti nodded, clenched his fists and walked directly in front of the enemy. He punched the enemy's head with all his strength. Bang! A slight explosion sounded. The enemy's head was instantly shattered, and Shiti's fist was stained with blood. The headless enemy knelt on the ground with weak legs. It's really disgusting. Yi Fei was disgusted by the scene in front of him. This was the first time he saw a headshot. Shiti, be careful and don't be so rude. Yi Fei looked at Shiti and said loudly. Shiti exhaled from his nose. This panda is really too strong. These enemies are like ants in his hands. Yi Fei looked at the remaining two enemies and smiled. He took out his weapon and came behind the enemy in an instant. He put the knife on his neck and chopped it hard. The head and body were separated. Yi Fei wondered why he did this. He was very disgusted with this. Looking at the enemy's head, his stomach began to churn. I'll leave the remaining enemies to you, I really can't hold on any longer. Yi Fei could no longer bear this visual attack and came to the side. Shi Tai looked at the last enemy. The last enemy had obvious scars on his body. And some of the scars revealed the bones inside. Shi Tai clenched his fists and rushed up, punching the enemy's stomach one by one, and the stomach kept protruding backwards. This wave of operations directly damaged all the enemy's internal organs. Blood also flowed out of the mask. Shi Tai looked at the enemy and clenched his fists hard, with clear muscle lines on his arms. He punched the enemy's chest. The heartbeat stopped directly, and the enemy's body began to twitch constantly. He fell to the ground and twitched there. As the heartbeat stopped, the enemy finally died there. After the battle, the muscles on Shi Tai's body disappeared again, replaced by round fat. Lying lazily on the ground, Yi Fei turned around and looked at the remains of the enemies. Until now, he still couldn't stand such a scene. The visual impact was too strong. Holding his breath, he came to the side of the corpses and looked at the corpses of the enemies. The next thing he had to do was to deal with all these corpses. Chapter 51. I'm really curious, these clones are very weak. Why do we have to let them die? The enemy was very powerful last time. It seems that his experimental results are not particularly ideal. Yi Fei said softly while looking at the sky after dealing with the body. Shi Tai lay on the ground for a while and then turned into a ball of white mist. Noticing the disappearance of Shi Tai, Yi Fei smiled. Kung Fu Panda, it seems this is your new name again. I didn't expect that your best skill is boxing. It seems that I have time to train you well in the future. Yi Fei found a place to sit down. What happened today made him feel very incredible. The strength of his summoned beast was very strong, and it had a certain relationship with himself. If his own strength improved in the future, the strength of the summoned beast would also be improved to a certain extent. That would only have benefits and no disadvantages. But now the only thing that gave him a headache was Orochimaru. It was still a problem to find him. Maybe he will come to me himself later. What's the hurry? Just wait. Yi Fei shook his head and said helplessly. After sitting down, he felt a little hungry. Because all his energy was put into the battle just now, he didn't notice that he was so hungry. He came here to train, and he met the enemy again. The physical consumption was doubled. Pack up and go back to eat. But when Yi Fei stood up and wanted to pack up, he found that none of the things he brought were in good condition. There is no way. It seems that I have time to buy some things. I must always keep these things ready in the future. Yi Fei said with a smile. After returning home, he took off his clothes and took a bath to wash off all the blood on his body. He went to the kitchen to cook something. After a simple meal, Yi Fei came to the yard and lay there to rest as usual. I always feel that I have some headaches now. Time passes really slowly. But it's good this way. If I encounter the Nine-Tails attack in the future, it will be bad if my strength is not improved. Yi Fei thought carefully about what will happen next. And he has become friends with Uchiha Itachi, and it is still unknown what will happen then. But what will happen soon is that the Third World War will end and Minato will become Hokage. This will also mean that Naruto will be born. When Naruto is born, the Nine-Tails will invade Konoha. Thinking about it this way, it feels like time has passed really fast. Yi Fei patted his head gently to stop himself from thinking about these messy things. After all, since he traveled to this world, many things have become different. Maybe other unexpected things will happen at that time. I have been resting for several days since the last time. I just wanted to finish the task. I really don't know when the next mission will be. Yi Fei looked at the starry sky and thought silently in his heart. For him, it is better to have a mission now. If every day is like this, it would be too boring. If you have nothing to do, take the time to go to sleep. Time will pass quickly after falling asleep, and there may be new tasks tomorrow. Yi Fei stood in the yard, then stretched and walked in. He fell asleep not long after he came to the bed, probably because he was too tired today. This sleep was really comfortable. I've been here for so long, and now it's only the end of World War III. I don't know how to spend the rest of my life, and I still have to go through so many things. Yi Fei said this while brushing his teeth in the yard when he got up in the morning. I feel much stronger now, but compared to those cheaters behind me, I am still a little overwhelmed. The third station is coming to an end, and a short period of peace will come soon. But some things that are happening now are all going in a bad direction. I don't know what kind of task will be waiting for me next. It would be best if I could go out for a walk. Yi Fei washed his face, then looked at the sky and thought silently. A dark and enchanting night suddenly appeared behind Yi Fei. Who is it? Yi Fei immediately sensed the person behind him. Without turning around, he took out his weapon. Little brother, don't worry, it's me. Washi walked behind Yi Fei with a cat-like step, and put his hands on his shoulders naturally. A chill went from Yi Fei's head to his feet. Sister Snake, I didn't expect it was you. But it's better not to make such a joke. Yi Fei immediately pulled away and came to the side, looking at the woman in front of him and said with a smile. Wash covered his mouth and smiled softly. It seems that our little brother is still a little shy. While speaking, Wash took off the mask on his face. A very handsome face was revealed. Yi Fei was a little surprised when he saw Washi's true appearance. He didn't expect Wash to be so beautiful. His facial features were delicate and his eyes were just right, but his usual behavior was a little inconsistent. Sister Snake, what are you doing? Yi Fei said in surprise. The flower snake stretched its hair and stared at Yi Fei with its eyes. Nothing special. We've been together for so long, but I've never let you see my true face. However, your reaction to me, little brother, was a little unexpected. Washi looked at Yi Fei and smiled. Yi Fei smiled but said nothing. It's true that she's beautiful, but if you want to do this to me, you're underestimating me. Although I am also an older bachelor, I can still resist this temptation. Yi Fei thought silently as he looked at the woman in front of him. Although he thought so in his heart, he couldn't help but look at her a few more times. If you use the beauty trap in battle, it will really make those enemies lose their souls. Tell me quickly, what on earth do you want to see me about? Is there another mission? Yi Fei said impatiently. The flower snake slowly came to Yi Fei, stretched out its slender fingers and touched Yi Fei's face. Little brother, sister came to see you, can't there be other things? The flower snake's smile at this time was more evil than before. Yi Fei never felt any liking for this flower snake. Slowly stretched out his hand and took the hand off his face. Sis, can't we just not make a fuss? Do you really have no mission to come to me? If that's the case, then leave early. Wait a minute, I have something else to do. Yi Fei looked at Hua Shi and said coldly. Hua Shi saw that his beauty trick was useless, so he chopped his foot hard. It's so boring. I came to you because I have a mission. Meet at the Anbu this afternoon. You have 6 hours to prepare now. Hua Shi put her hands on her hips, pursed her lips, and said angrily. Yi Fei nodded. If there really was no mission, it would be too troublesome to deal with this woman. I see. I will report on time in the afternoon. Yi Fei looked at the flower snake and said with a smile. The flower snake gnashed its teeth, wishing to tear Yi Fei apart and eat him. Her performance just now had already explained what she wanted, but Yi Fei was not moved at all. This made her feel very angry, and even doubted her charm. Little brother, I really hope you think it over. If you regret it later, I can still forgive you. After calming down, Yi Fei smiled again. He didn't say anything and didn't make any moves. Wash paused for a few seconds, feeling helpless and had to leave. He put on the mask and disappeared in the yard in an instant, and rushed out from the big tree in the yard. Yi Fei looked up at the big tree. I didn't expect this woman to be like this. Young people don't know the good of being young, and mistakenly treat lowly as treasure. Although this sentence is not wrong. But I really want to try harder. Yi Fei said softly while looking at the sky. Now there are still more than 5 hours before the gathering. Although there is plenty of time, he still doesn't know the specific situation of the mission. After arriving in the room, he prepared what he needed. Food and clothing. Try to prepare as much as possible, which is also what Yi Fei needs to prepare before each mission. If he needs to go to a far place at that time, he doesn't have to prepare in a hurry. But every mission will disappoint him. I hope I can use what I prepared this time. Anyway, it's not a big deal, so it's better to prepare it often. So as not to drop anything when you are in a hurry. Yi Fei looked at the equipment he had sorted out and smiled. He walked to the table and looked at the broken weapon on top. He had not used this weapon much since it broke last time. And he did not want to forge it again. I don't know if I can still use it. Yi Fei reached out and picked up the weapon and began to examine it carefully. The sharpness was still quite optimistic, but it was broken in the middle. This also means that the attack range is reduced by half. I wonder if I can get weapon rewards next time. Although I don't know what the probability is for his reward, it's better to separate them. At least every part should be taken into consideration. Yi Fei took back the broken knife. After sorting out all the equipment, he put them together. There was still a long time, so he decided to eat something. He got busy in the kitchen. Knock, knock, knock. There was a knock on the door. After hearing someone knocking on the door, Yi Fei wiped his hands and came to the door. Mumu. Yi Fei opened the door and saw Hashimoto Mumu standing outside. Ah Fei, what are you doing at home? Miu Miu put her hands behind her back, wearing a very cute dress. Yi Fei smiled and invited her to his home. I didn't do anything. I'm about to go out on a mission. Let me make something to eat. After coming to the living room, Yi Fei was very happy to see the very cute girl in front of him. It can't be such a coincidence. I was planning to have you go shopping with me, but I didn't expect you to have a mission. Miu Miu was a little disappointed. The disappointment could be seen directly from his face. I'm really sorry. I just received the order. How about this? Let's go out again after I come back, and I'll accompany you shopping then. Yi Fei looked at the disappointed Miu Miu and said hurriedly. After thinking about it, Miu Miu nodded, although he was very reluctant. That's the only way to do it. When you come back, let's go on a date. Oh no, go shopping. Miu Miu said happily. Yi Fei heard it and didn't believe his ears. He didn't know if he said it wrong or on purpose. Then it's settled. we'll go out after you finish your mission. You must not break your promise. Miu Miu leaned his face closer to the cold and said in a low voice. Yi Fei swallowed and nodded. Don't worry, I won't break my promise. I will come to you as soon as possible. Miu Miu nodded, very happy. In this case, I won't bother you anymore. Be careful. Standing up and going outside, Yi Fei looked at this playful and cute girl and smiled. Don't worry, I will be careful and return home safely. I don't know how many days it will take to come back this time. As soon as I come back, I will go to find you first. Yi Fei finally explained. Miu Miu nodded and walked out of Yi Fei's house happily. Looking at the door of his own house, his mood could not calm down for a long time. It seems that my luck with romance is coming. You must seize this opportunity. Yi Fei clenched his fists and encouraged himself. He knew that people in Naruto usually mature very early. And he was also a child, and he didn't care about those rumors at all. Seeing that there was still a lot of time, he went to the kitchen to continue busying himself with his meals. After everything was ready, he came to the living room. I'll report after this meal. I'm afraid I'll have to endure the hardship again. I hope it doesn't take too long. In that case, I can come back earlier. Yi Fei muttered softly as he looked at the food he cooked. He picked up the chopsticks and hurried to eat. Over the years, Yi Fei has also developed a very good habit. That is to keep his promises. No matter what time it is, he will go there earlier. After eating, he packed up, took his luggage and walked out of the house. After coming to the street, his mood was very complicated. And he didn't know anything about this mission. This is also normal. There is still a full hour before the gathering time. Yi Fei walked slowly on the road. This is also good. There is no need to be so anxious. Tasks, appointments, tasks, appointments. It's really hard to decide, but the task now must be done. If I leave the Anbu later, it will be too hard to be constrained. Yi Fei was walking on the road, still thinking about Miu Miu's invitation. Unconsciously, he had arrived at the entrance of the Anbu. He looked up at the sky. Now he really hoped that this mission would be very simple. That way he could come back earlier. He walked into the Anbu and found that there was no one here. Did I come too early? There's no other way. I can only wait here for a while. It seems that they should come on time. Yi Fei found a place, put the equipment aside and sat down. Looking around here, he found that it was still so familiar. All the equipment was the best. He could indeed get good training here, and his eyesight could be steadily improved. When he first came here, he felt that his choice was right. It seems to be the same now. Although Yi Fei can improve his strength without training. But the options for each place are limited. Changing a place is undoubtedly the best for him. In this way, he can have a good development space and grow quickly. I just sat there thinking about something. After about 40 minutes, someone finally came here. Panda, I didn't expect you to be the first one here. Very diligent. Old Cat came to Yi Fei with his equipment. There is nothing to do at home, so I had to come here early. When I came here, there was no one. It seems that you have a good sense of time. Yi Fei pointed around and said in a low voice. The old cat smiled. In the next 10 minutes, everyone arrived one by one. Good, no one is late this time. The panda was the first to come. This spirit is indeed worth learning from. From now on we must gather half an hour earlier. This way we have plenty of time to prepare things. Yan Wang said loudly while looking at everyone in front of him. Everyone stood up straight. Next, I will tell you about the requirements of the task. I don't think it's very difficult. Yan Wang took out the task list and said to them. In the next few minutes, he carefully explained the task content. Yi Fei felt that everyone was very relaxed. It seems that this task is quite simple for them. This time, the task they have to perform is to go to a very far place to clear the enemy. That is the base that the enemy has just established, and the enemy must be cleared as soon as possible. If the time is delayed, it will be more troublesome for them. You all already know the general idea of the mission. Time waits for no one, let's go. Yan Wang said loudly to them, and then ran out first. Yi Fei and others followed closely. The enemy's strength this time was not very strong, the only trouble was that there were more people. But Yi Fei was worried about the journey. It would take a whole day to go back and forth. Apart from the journey, the battle would take at least a day. It seems that I will have to wait 2 days to come back this time. We must go find Miu Miu as soon as we come back, and we must not let him wait too long. Yi Fei was running on the road, thinking silently in his heart. Everyone soon arrived at the entrance of Muya village. After Yan Wang explained the situation to the staff on duty, everyone set off again. Everyone shuttled between the big trees at a very fast speed. Yi Fei looked at the branches under his feet, thinking about other things in his heart. Miu Miu came to him today but did not explain the matter clearly. As a result, Yi Fei still didn't know whether it was a date or shopping. Anyway, the nature of these two situations is similar. There are only the two of them, no one else. Yan Wang stopped and looked at the map. This time the journey is quite long. Have you purchased the equipment? If you need anything, go to the village ahead and buy some more. The King of Hell turned and said to them loudly, Captain, I need to buy some things. I didn't know I had to go so far when I came out, so I didn't bring enough things with me. The flower snake raised his hand and said softly. The King of Hell nodded. Now all of them had to go to the next village to buy things they needed. Yi Fei smiled, and he was the only one who didn't need to buy anything. After all, this time, he was also very well prepared. In order to save time, they didn't take any rest on the rest of the journey. They didn't stop until they passed a village. Everyone went to the village to buy things, and only Yi Fei rested in the forest. It seems that this time will delay some time. I really don't know what they are thinking. If they are like me, they are always ready. Then this kind of thing wouldn't happen now. Yi Fei leaned against the tree and looked around, feeling a little irritated. The mission was no longer that important to him. The important thing was to hurry home. So boring, the enemy's strength is also very ordinary. It seems that they are relatively boring to deal with. I don't know when I can get that kind of special task. I've never done it before. Yi Fei looked up at the sky. For him now, these ordinary tasks were not important at all. Although he still felt a little uncomfortable after seeing the scenes after the battle. He especially wanted to participate in such important tasks. Why rush? There are still many things to come. After Naruto is born, that will be the highlight. Yi Fei thought about what was going to happen next. Time passed by, and the few people who went to buy things also came back with their things. No way, sister, you actually buy these things. Aren't we going on a mission? Yi Fei said in surprise when he saw the clothes wash she bought. And what she bought was not ordinary clothes, but swimsuits. What do you know, little brother? This time we are going to a place with a beach and ocean. It's rare to go to such a far place, so I have to have some fun. The flower snake twisted its waist and came in front of Yi Fei. Seeing this scene, Yi Fei turned his head to the side instantly. Forget it, you are the big brothers and big sisters. Whatever you want to do, I have no choice but to accept my fate. Yi Fei felt very helpless, but there was nothing he could do. Yan Wang came to the front of the crowd with the weapons he bought. Is everything you need ready? Let's go without further delay. With one order, everyone once again set out on the road to carry out their mission. After seeing what Wash bought, Yi Fei felt that his return home would be postponed again. There was no other way, so he could only come back with them. I didn't expect that the flower snake knew that place so well. It seems that she also likes to travel very much. Yi Fei shuttled back and forth between the branches of the big tree, his eyes fixed on the flower snake. The origin of the name of the flower snake is not random. This woman has an intuition beyond ordinary people. The first moment Yi Fei saw her, he felt it. Slowed down and came to Yi Fei's side. Why is the little brother always looking at his sister? Have you figured it out? Wash said in a lewd tone. Yi Fei shook his head. How do you know I'm watching you? Do you have any special abilities? Yi Fei asked curiously. Secret, but it's not a secret that can't be told. The condition is that you let me study it carefully. Washi thought for a moment and then said in a low voice. Yi Fei shook his head to refuse. Since you don't want to know, I won't tell you. After saying that, he quickened his pace and caught up with the person in front. What else could it be? It must be that I feel different from others. Otherwise, how could she know I was watching her at the first time? Yi Fei said helplessly. This kind of conditioned reflex is also very powerful, and it also plays a big role on the battlefield. She can know someone is watching her at the first time. I suddenly felt like an ordinary person. Except for the special King's hockey, the others are too ordinary. I really don't know what kind of strange things I will get in the future. Yi Fei quickened his pace to catch up with them. Time soon came to night. Because they went to buy some necessary things, they were delayed for a long time. Tonight they camped where they were. If they continued to move forward at night, they would be attacked by wild beasts. Now they were not far from their destination. When the sun comes out tomorrow, we will set out. We will take turns on duty tonight. Yan Wang put down his equipment and said to them. Got it, everyone said together. Yi Fei found a place to put his equipment on the ground, and then came to the side of them. Lao Mao had already raised the fireball. It's a bit cold at night in this season. I don't know, what's the situation ahead? Hua Shi hugged her legs with both hands and sat on the ground. Yi Fei sat next to her, not for any other reason, but because there were people in other places. This time the enemy's strength is not very strong. But we are not familiar with their place, I think it should be a protracted war. Yi Fei fiddled with the things in his hand and said. Everyone nodded, and everyone was very clear about this. It's okay, I'll just treat it as a pastime this time. The scenery there is very good. We can take this opportunity to enjoy it. Black Panther found some wild fruits and shared them with them. Yi Fei took out his weapon, sharpened the branches, and then strung the fruits on them. Finally, he put the fruits on the fire and grilled them. What is this operation? Everyone asked, not understanding. Haven't you ever eaten it? There's nothing special actually. If it doesn't work, you can try it too. Yi Fei looked at their expressions and felt incredible. Everyone followed suit and put the fruits on the fire and started grilling. Although they had all eaten barbecue, it was their first time to grill wild fruits. After a few dozen seconds, the fragrance burst out instantly. It smells so good, I'm going to start eating. After smelling the taste, the flower snake took off the mask and started eating immediately. At this time, everyone also took off their masks and revealed their original appearance. Everyone was similar to what Yi Fei imagined. The appearance of the King of Hell was a little unexpected. There was an obvious scar on his face. No matter who saw his face, they could feel the pressure. This might be due to the years. I didn't expect to see all of them today. But it was pretty much what I imagined. Yi Fei watched everyone eating with gusto and smiled gently. Time slowly came to the second half of the night. Everyone went to rest, and the first one on duty was Yi Fei. He proposed it himself. After all, he was not very sleepy now. Standing on the big tree, listening to the wind around him, he slowly pulled up his collar. It seems that the return time has been delayed again. According to what they said, we have to stay there for a while after we have dealt with all the enemies. Yi Fei looked at where everyone was resting and shook his head helplessly. When he saw where the flower snake was, he immediately turned his head to the side because he didn't know if he could sense it while sleeping. This ability is really good. I wonder if it can still work when I'm sleeping. In battle, if you have such strength, it's like having a cheat. Yi Fei leaned against a tree and looked at the starry sky. Just as he had just thought, he was now very curious whether it would work when sleeping. Out of curiosity, he slowly shifted his gaze to the flower snake. Just take a look. Yi Fei stared at it carefully and nervously. After looking at it for a second or two, he shifted his gaze to the side again. His heartbeat began to speed up. If she found out, it would be hard to explain. After waiting for a minute or two, he didn't hear any movement. He must have not found out. I was saying, how can it work while you were sleeping? I was really scared to death. Yi Fei breathed a sigh of relief and whispered. Before he could catch his breath, a hand suddenly rested on his shoulder. A chill broke out. Little brother, were you looking at me just now? What bad idea do you want to come up with in the dead of night? Hua Shi's voice was like a knife, piercing Yi Fei's heart. Yi Fei pretended to be calm and shook his head gently. Hua Shi smiled gently, and then came to him. Don't pretend. I know exactly what you did. This ability of mine also works when I'm sleeping. Hua Shi took off his mask and looked at Yi Fei and said in a low voice. Sister Snake, please stop teasing me. I just saw you. But that's also to verify whether this ability works when you're sleeping. I really don't mean anything else, Yi Fei said very quietly for fear of being heard by others. Wash touched his face and smiled. Is that really the case? Yi Fei nodded. Now he could only tell the truth. If he didn't clarify it, he would definitely be misunderstood. It's really meaningless. I don't know what's going on. I can't sleep. It looks like tonight will be another sleepless night. The flower snake slowly sat on the branch, and then swung his legs there. Yi Fei felt relieved and sat down slowly after he felt that he was fine. Now he didn't want to talk about anything, and it was okay for him to be on duty here alone. If he was with the flower snake, it would be a bit awkward. Little brother, what are your plans for the future? What you fear is what you get. Yi Fei didn't want to start a conversation, but Wash started it. Yi Fei shook his head to indicate that he had no idea. I don't know either. This mission isn't that difficult. Maybe we can win by attacking aggressively. Keep your eyes on the front. Not asking you this. I also know that this mission is very simple. I'm asking about your future life plan. Washi gently patted Yi Fei's shoulder and asked. I don't know when Yi Fei had a big reaction to this woman's physical contact. Yi Fei felt uncomfortable all over. I am not sure about this. Besides, I am still very young, so there is no need to think about it. Just live well now. That is to say, take one step at a time. Yi Fei moved to the other side. Washi saw Yi Fei's performance and pouted a little unhappy. Noticing the change in Washi, he had no choice. For this woman, he just regarded her as a sister. Is that so? Well, your idea is actually quite good. This way, you can live a carefree life. Washi put her hands on her legs and whispered. Yi Fei also noticed her helplessness at this time. According to her age, she may stay here forever in the Anbu. Maybe this is where she feels helpless. In comparison, she is still very free. Sister Snake, don't be too sad. It's actually quite good to think about some things in a positive way. No matter what, we have to live on. Yi Fei turned around and looked at Washi and said. Washi was stunned for a moment, then laughed. I didn't expect that I would be taught a lesson by a little brother who is several years younger than me. It seems that you, my little brother, have been through a lot. Washi narrowed her eyes and looked at Yi Fei. After seeing her expression, Yi Fei blushed and turned his head away. Hey, they are still children after all. By the way, how is that girl? Are you two in contact now? Do you need me to teach you a few moves? Wash deliberately moved her face closer and said. Yi Fei shook his head. After a few seconds, he did not make any response. Oh well, but anyway, in order to repay you for teaching me just now, I will also tell you what girls like. Washi said with a smile. Yi Fei wanted to refuse, but then he thought that he really needed experience in this area. Seeing that Yi Fei did not refuse, Washi raised the corner of his mouth. In fact, girls don't really like that many things. If the girl likes you, she will like it no matter what you give her. But I think girls should like chocolate the most. Anyway, this is my favorite. Okay, you continue on duty. I'm going to take a rest. Otherwise, you will get wrinkles. After saying that, Washi quickly returned to his place and began to rest. Yi Fei still sat there for a long time without saying anything. He was still thinking about what Washi had just said. Chocolate. Last time I bought it, I had to look for it in many places. It seems that is Mu's favorite thing. In this case, I'll take some back when I go back. Yi Fei seemed to have understood a big knot in his heart, and he was very happy. This time he went on a long trip and he could bring some things back from outside. In this way, Christmas Eve passed. Yi Fei also took over and went to sleep in the second half of the night. The sun rose slowly, illuminating the whole earth. Get up all. Pack your things and get ready to go. Yan Wang stood up and shouted to them. Everyone got up quickly and packed their things. Each of them was a well-trained soldier. And now they dared not neglect their mission. Accidents could happen at any time in such a place. They had to be alert at all times. Even when they were sleeping, they would not sleep so deeply. As long as there was a situation, they would react immediately. After everyone packed up their things, they all stood in a row. Let's go. Yan Wang gave an order, and all the members followed him and ran towards the destination. There was no time to rest this time. And they didn't have that much time to waste. What's more, they wanted to have a good time there. After more than an hour's journey, they finally arrived at their destination. After observing the enemy's location, they found a very secluded place to hide and began to observe. The enemy's construction speed was also very fast. In just a few days, this place was built into a place that was easy to defend and difficult to attack. It seems that these enemies have been prepared for a long time. And they had expected us to come, Yan Wang said in a low voice while looking at the base built by the enemy. Everyone was watching carefully. Yi Fei found that although the enemy's strength this time was not very strong, their base was easy to defend and difficult to attack. This was not good news for them. If they chose to attack by force, they would definitely suffer. The best way at present was to discuss countermeasures. Yan Wang withdrew his head. Looking at the listless crowd, he felt a little helpless. He knew that the enemy had made sufficient preparations this time. And the base was also very solid. If there was no good method, they must not choose to attack by force. What's wrong with you guys? Did you get up because of the scene in front of you? If so, you are not worthy of being my team member. Yan Wang looked at them and whispered. No one reacted, but after a moment Yi Fei suddenly turned his head and looked at Yan Wang. Captain, don't worry. No matter what the enemy situation is, I will fight to the death. Even if there is no way to kill them all, I will fight to the last moment. Yi Fei said very confidently. Yan Wang nodded very satisfied. After hearing what Yi Fei just said, the others gradually regained their confidence. Although the enemy's base is easy to defend and difficult to attack, they can definitely attract the enemy out. Don't worry, Captain, we are all ready. No matter what, we will never lose your face. This time, whether we succeed or not, we will fight to the end and will not be deserters. Old Cat clenched his fist and said forcefully. Everyone's morale was greatly boosted at this time. Yan Wang looked at his subordinates in front of him and nodded with satisfaction. This is my team. Although the enemy's base is easy to defend and difficult to attack, they have a fatal flaw, which is their weak strength. And as long as we attract them all out, then it will be our home ground. Yan Wang thought carefully about the scene there. In the next few minutes, he arranged all the things they all needed to do. The old cat was fast, and his task was to set fire to every corner of the enemy's base. In this way, the enemy would come out of the tent. After the enemy came out, Yan Wang would rush up with Yi Fei and Hua Shi. The rest of the people had to deal with the fleeing enemies. After everyone knew their tasks, they dispersed. Yi Fei followed Yan Wang and Hua Shi, and saw that they were very calm, and he was a little envious. What he was worried about now was whether the corpses had anything wrong with their stomachs. But no matter what, he had to overcome this problem. It's like a doctor faints at blood, can't he be a doctor? A soldier who often has to kill people will feel sick when he sees corpses, can't he continue to perform his mission? Yi Fei tried hard to overcome his heart. Now there are only a few of them here. If they can't fight, their combat effectiveness will be much less. And now the only thing to do is to try to overcome himself. What's wrong? Is everything okay? Wash suddenly felt that something was different from usual and became very worried. Yi Fei shook his head. It's okay. When Wash saw Yi Fei's look, he had to shift his attention to the enemy's position again. Yan Wang gave Lao Mao a signal, and Lao Mao moved out instantly, avoiding all sight of the enemy. He set some tents on fire. The raging fire instantly burned the tents. The people in the tents also cried and screamed desperately to escape, but they had already been surrounded by flames. After dozens of seconds, all the tents were on fire. The enemy's side was also in chaos, and there was no order at all. Yan Wang saw that the time was almost right, and he gave orders instantly. The three people rushed out at once. Lao Mao and the others also came to the place where the enemy wanted to escape and began to block them. The extermination began. Yan Wang stood alone and killed the enemy who rushed to the front at once. After seeing them rushing over, the enemy instantly picked up their weapons and began to fight back. Although their strength is relatively weak, their numbers account for a great advantage. But in the face of absolute strength, the human wave tactics are useless at all. Fire escape, wind escape, a perfect combination of techniques was displayed. A fire tornado engulfed the enemies one by one. Yi Fei was a little surprised to see such perfect coordination. Without certain experience, it would be impossible to have such perfect coordination. It seems that I have to work harder, I can't fall behind. Yi Fei took out his lost weapon and started looking for a target. At this time, more than a dozen enemies noticed Yi Fei, a little kid. They felt that Yi Fei was relatively weak, so they rushed up in a swarm. This should be picking on the weak. Since you want to die so badly, I will help you. Yi Fei smiled at the dozen enemies. He rushed forward and came to the front of the enemy. He instantly slashed the weapon in his hand across their necks, and the blood in the aorta gushed out. He put away the knife and looked for the next target. The strength of these enemies was too weak. Yi Fei dealt with them like dealing with some small animals. The word, abusive, is the most appropriate. 3, 4, 5. Yi Fei shuttled among the enemies and killed them one by one. The enemies seemed to have no resistance. When Yi Fei came in front of them, he lost his life in an instant. It's a bit boring. Yi Fei couldn't help but sigh as he looked at the enemies standing there with trembling legs. Can't wait, start to act. At this moment, 5 enemies surrounded Yi Fei in an instant. His hands instantly formed seals and pressed on the ground. Some strange patterns came around Yi Fei. The texture began to change, all spreading to the sky, and then formed a cage. What is this? Yi Fei looked at the cage that imprisoned him, a little curious. It looked like it was made of some shadows. The 5 enemies also kept their original postures. So that's how it is. Yi Fei immediately understood the principle behind this. The cage was created by the shadows of the enemies. When he touched the cage, a weak electric current instantly came through. Yi Fei was so scared that he immediately retracted his finger. It seems that this is not an ordinary cage. It also has an attack. Interesting. Yi Fei looked at the 5 enemies around him and smiled softly. Although he didn't know how to crack it, he finally found it interesting. If he kept killing those enemies in such a simple way, it would be a waste of time for Yi Fei. The 5 enemies looked up at Yi Fei in the cage and smiled. They felt that they had completely imprisoned Yi Fei. Flying Thunder God Technique. Yi Fei wanted to use the Flying Thunder God Technique to escape from here, but found that there was no response. It seemed that he could not find any direction. It seems that this thing has a shielding effect. Yi Fei took out his weapon and hit the cage hard, but only heard a crackling sound. It didn't have any effect. The enemy looked at Yi Fei in the cage and started laughing loudly. It was as if they were watching a beast in the cage. It was very interesting. Alas, I wonder how long it will take them to develop this thing. Yi Fei shook his head helplessly. He had just discovered a drawback when he was working on the tool. The gaps in the cage could be used to get out. This meant that as long as these gaps were used well, the cage could be cracked. Looking at the proud enemy, Yi Fei took out some shurikens. Then let's see who will have the last laugh. Yi Fei aimed at one of the enemies through the gap. Phew! He swung his hand hard, and the shuriken flew out like a wild horse that had broken free from its reins. It hit the enemy's head very accurately. Snap! The enemy fell to the ground. One corner of the cage slowly dissipated. It's exactly what I thought. Without the enemy's support, this thing is just a piece of paper. Yi Fei looked at the big hole and smiled. The enemy also seemed a little panicked and at a loss. After walking out of the cage, looking at the remaining 4 enemies who were casting seals, Yi Fei did not give them a moment to breathe and wiped them all out in one go. Ninjutsu is good, but it also has many shortcomings. Yi Fei rubbed the knife on the enemy's clothes. A bright and beautiful broken knife was revealed again. Option A. Kill 20 enemies, completion reward, random lightning escape. Option B. Kill 10 enemies, completion reward, random money. Option C. Stand at a distance and observe the battle. Completion reward, the favor of a random beauty. Yi Fei looked at the options that came out of his mind. These options are really boring, but the rewards are relatively good. I don't need beauties or anything like that now. If it's a flower snake, then I'm doomed. Yi Fei shook his head and finally chose option A. Killing 20 enemies is not a particularly difficult task. But there are not many enemies left now. If you want to complete this task, you must hurry up. You may even have to snatch the head from others. Yi Fei stopped wasting time and started looking for the target. One knife at a time, the speed was very fast. In the blink of an eye, he had already killed 13 enemies. But there were no targets around him that could be killed. There is no other way. We can only grab the heads. Yi Fei looked at the other people who were entangled with the enemy, and a special idea came to his mind. Hua Shi was fighting with 3 enemies, and those 3 enemies had already been seriously injured. He took out the kunai, looked at the 3 seriously injured enemies, and threw them quickly. 3 kunai, all hit the enemy's heart. Hua Shi was about to make the final attack, and found that the 3 enemies fell to the ground. Panda, why did you come to me to steal my head? Wash looked at Yi Fei and stomped his feet in anger. Miss Snake, I'm sorry. I'll treat you to dinner when I get back. Yi Fei immediately left this place where it was difficult to stay for a long time. Then he started looking for another target. 13 plus 3, there are 4. Looks like we have to hurry up. Yi Fei was running to find the target while calculating in his mind. If he had received this task at the beginning of the battle, it would have been very easy. But now there are only a few enemies left. There might be some fleeing enemies at Black Panther's place. Yi Fei immediately turned around and ran to the other side. He was not disappointed here. As expected, he found 2 enemies desperately trying to escape. Black Panther was also attacking from behind the enemies. I'm here to steal the heads again, sorry, Brother Leopard. Yi Fei took the lead and instantly came to the front of the enemy. After the enemy found Yi Fei, they hurriedly ran to both sides. Want to run? How can you do that? He rushed to the back of one of the enemies. A cold light flashed, and a broken knife head appeared at the enemy's heart. The enemy's legs trembled and blood spit out of his mouth. Yi Fei kicked the enemy away, and blood flowed out along with the pulled-out knife. Well, there are only 3 left. Yi Fei turned around and looked at another enemy. But the Black Panther's knife was about to touch the enemy's back. Not good. Yi Fei panicked and activated Flying Thunder God and disappeared instantly. Hegemony color. An invisible aura was released instantly. The Black Panther's eyes turned white, and he stood there in this posture. Yi Fei found that all the people around him stood there motionless. It was as if they had no soul. This is too much. Yi Fei couldn't care less now, and he killed the enemy under the Black Panther knife. Anyway, it has become like this now, so he might as well complete the task in one go. Sometimes it's just such a coincidence, and now there are only 2 enemies left on the field who are not dead. Yi Fei came in front of them and stabbed them in the heart with his weapon. After a second or 2, the enemy's heartbeat stopped. Ding, mission completed, bonus lightning release, additional is being integrated. Just by listening to the name, you can know how to use this lightning release. But Yi Fei didn't have time to pay attention to these. Seeing them all standing there motionless, he was a little overwhelmed. Domineering color, disperse. After careful consideration, he finally decided to remove the domineering color first. The invisible aura disappeared instantly, and everyone's eyes were bright again. After seeing their subtle changes, Yi Fei lay on the ground instantly. He reached out and wiped a little of the enemy's blood on his face. I hope I can keep it a secret. Yi Fei closed his eyes tightly and his heartbeat gradually began to accelerate. After more than 10 seconds, Yan Wang and others had completely recovered. But they didn't know what had just happened. And the enemies also died inexplicably. What happened? Panda. Yan Wang hadn't thought about it carefully yet, and he found Yi Fei not far away. After hearing Yan Wang's call, everyone came to his side immediately. Panda, Panda. Yan Wang shook Yi Fei's body and kept calling his name. It was time for Yi Fei to perform. He slowly opened his eyes, and his whole body showed a very weak. Team, Captain, just now, I don't know what happened just now, it seems that a huge force knocked me dizzy. Yi Fei pretended to sit up very hard. And he kept patting his head. My head hurts so much now. Yan Wang and others were relieved to see that Yi Fei was fine, only having a headache. They didn't want anyone to die in this mission. We just encountered the same situation. We don't know exactly what the reason is. Anyway, let's leave this place first. Yan Wang glanced around and found no remaining enemies. Yi Fei nodded gently. He wanted to stand up, but found that his legs had no strength. In the end, the bull carried Yi Fei to a safe area. On the bull's back, Yi Fei smiled slightly, and it was obvious that he had deceived all of them. It seems that I have kept it a secret. At least they didn't find out my secret. Yi Fei thought silently as he looked at them. After arriving at a safe place, everyone began to rest. Yi Fei was fine now, not to mention that he had nothing to do. This time our mission has been a complete success. The panda is resting here, and we will dispose of all the corpses. After we finish dealing with it, we can relax. Yan Wang looked at them and said. Everyone stood up, leaving only Yi Fei to rest here. After each mission is completed, the body must be disposed of. This is a really cumbersome process. I don't know if there are any villages nearby. If not, I can only buy chocolate on the way back. Yi Fei leaned against a tree and looked up at the sky. It was a very pleasant time now. Except for Yi Fei, the rest of the people had already started to clean up the bodies. Fortunately, the number of enemies was relatively small this time. I don't know what they are thinking. Is it because there are fewer tasks recently that they choose to vacation here? Actually, it's not bad to think about it carefully. Yi Fei looked at the place where the battle had just taken place. After everyone had dealt with the bodies, they returned to Yi Fei's side. They were relieved only after they were sure that Yi Fei was completely fine. Sister Snake, I'm so sorry. I will never steal your head again next time. Yi Fei said weakly. Wash smiled and waved his hand. Seeing how you are now, I will forgive you this time. But if you do it again next time, I promise to beat you up. Yi Fei smiled after hearing this. Well, since everyone is free, let's hurry up and leave this place. Find a place to have a good rest. Yan Wang looked around and said to them. Everyone stood up and followed him to the distance. There was indeed a village around here, and it was not small in size. More importantly, there were all kinds of things in it. I didn't expect there was such a big village around here. It seems that we have something to play with this time. Yi Fei was standing not far from the village and was a little surprised. But the others were very calm. Before coming here, they had already made sufficient preparations. Captain, have you been to this place before? Why do you know so clearly what is here or what is fun? Yi Fei asked curiously. Yan Wang nodded. The enemy built a small base here a long time ago. At that time, a few of us came here to carry out the mission. I didn't expect that it would be us again this time. Yan Wang looked at Yi Fei and said. Yi Fei suddenly realized, otherwise they would not know this place. As they spoke, they walked towards the village. Houses of all sizes appeared in their sight. It must be said that the scale of this village is really large. And there are all kinds of things for sale in it, and food also accounts for a large part. Now I can finally relax. I'm going to take a bath first, and then have a good meal. Washi walked in front and stretched his body. How about letting me go with you? The old cat came to her side with a lecherous look, and then whispered. Bang! A fist landed on the old cat's head, causing him to cover his head immediately in pain. The flower snake rubbed his fist and walked in front. After taking 2 steps, he stopped and turned to look at Yi Fei. Little brother, you can go with me. Washi gestured to Yi Fei to come over. Seeing this, Yi Fei hurriedly waved his hand. Forget it, I have other things to do. Wash didn't get a satisfactory answer, so he stamped his feet in anger. Then he turned around and strode forward. It's really terrible, they didn't even let go of my little kid. Yi Fei hugged his shoulders and said with a wry smile. The others also laughed at this time. Well, now the time is right, everyone can do whatever they want. Free time, we will gather here in the evening. Yan Wang patted Yi Fei on the shoulder and said to them. Everyone nodded and dispersed to different places. Yi Fei stayed where he was and looked carefully at some shops in front. In the end, he decided to buy some chocolate first. It would be troublesome if he forgot it later. The chocolate sold here should be different from ours. Maybe it will taste good. Yi Fei walked forward, and then looked at both sides and thought silently. Now he couldn't guarantee whether the things here were good or not. But at least there must be chocolate for sale. The streets and alleys are full of people of all kinds. They do all kinds of things and sell all kinds of things. As a person who came to this place for the first time, I was a little flustered. I don't know if I can find a guide. I wanted to find a few of them, but I found that they had all disappeared. It's really faster than a rabbit. Yi Fei was very helpless walking on the street. A stranger came to another place for the first time. No matter where it is. It will be very strange. If you want to avoid being cheated here and buy good things, it is too difficult. It's still very early, so there are not many people here. This place is really an ordinary village that can't be more ordinary. But the environment of this place is really good. From the moment I walked in, I haven't seen a single speck of garbage. Yi Fei looked at the clean road and felt very strange. But that was all. Maybe the cleaners there were better. Reality, it's too difficult. If I had a guide or a local at this time, it would be great. Yi Fei shook his head helplessly, and then said weakly. After struggling for a while, he finally decided to go forward and take a look. It would be great if he could meet some kind-hearted people. He also found that the shops around here are not very big. The things sold there are quite complete. It seems that they should make a lot of money. There are indeed many things that I have never seen before. Yi Fei said in disbelief as he looked at the things sold in the store. Souvenir shop. After walking for a while, he found a shop selling souvenirs. After thinking about it, he decided to go in and have a look. If he found something nice, he could buy it back for Miu Miu. Ding ding. When he opened the door, a bell rang. Welcome. Yi Fei had just closed the door when a slender woman wearing glasses suddenly appeared. Hello. What does my little brother want? We have everything here. No matter what you want, we have it here. The boss said very hospitably, with a smile on his face. Yi Fei nodded gently. I don't know much about what you have here, so I decided to take a look first. Yi Fei said a little embarrassedly. So that's how it is. Please don't be in a hurry and take your time to choose. Let me tell you what we have here first. The boss came to Yi Fei and looked at him with a smile and talked a lot. Yi Fei was also confused because most of the words were about the development of their village. There was only a small paragraph about their local specialties. Although the name doesn't sound particularly strange, it is indeed their local specialty. Okay, thank you for your help. I'll take a look myself first. Yi Fei said politely with a smile on his face. The boss nodded. This store is long from front to back and narrow from left to right. So the things inside are all on the wall. Yi Fei walked in this long corridor, looking at the strange things next to him. It seems that this place is really interesting. But I don't know what to buy, and the prices are so expensive. Yi Fei's heart skipped a beat when he saw the prices on the items. After all, a child doesn't have that much savings. And he didn't bring that much money for this mission. The boss followed Yi Fei all the time, and kept smiling. Boss, do you have any special jewelry here? For example, what girls wear? Yi Fei looked around and didn't find what he wanted. The boss nodded. Yes, please follow me. The boss came to Yi Fei's side and took him to a more beautiful place. The further you go, the more beautiful things you can see. So there are signs on the top of the head. Yi Fei accidentally saw the names of the products marked on the top of the head. And each place has its own classification. That's right, this also makes it easier for customers to choose. The boss replied with a smile. Yi Fei nodded. The boss suddenly stopped and turned to look at Yi Fei. These are the jewelry in our shop. See if there is anyone you like. Excuse me, how old is the girl? The boss looked at Yi Fei and asked politely. About my age. Yi Fei thought for a moment, then pointed at himself and whispered. The boss nodded, then introduced a bunch of jewelry for girls. Looking at the things in front of him, he was a little dazzled. And many of them were very beautiful. Of course, the prices were also very expensive. Yi Fei didn't have much money, and these things were so expensive. Even if he wanted to buy them, he couldn't afford it, but what else could he do? He had to pick one that was cheap and good-looking. Thank you, boss. I'll take a look myself first. I have to choose these things carefully. Thank you for your help. Yi Fei nodded slightly and said politely. The boss smiled and stepped aside. Yi Fei looked at the many things in front of him and couldn't choose some of them. And these things were also very expensive. Boss, are there any relatively cheaper ones? None of these things seem to be what I like. Yi Fei seemed a little embarrassed, but there was nothing he could do. The boss nodded and pointed to the area next to him. Yi Fei smiled and nodded politely. After coming here, I found that the prices of these things were very reasonable. But they also looked relatively ordinary. It's expensive for a reason, but there's nothing I can do now. I can only pick a better looking one from here. Yi Fei thought helplessly. If anyone is to blame, it's his fault. He didn't prepare well for buying things this time. If he knew you will definitely bring a lot of money when you come here to shop. Bracelet necklace. There are just too many. It seems necessary to choose carefully. I finally came here this time, I can't go back empty-handed. Yi Fei started to choose what he liked in the following time. Time passed slowly, and the boss was waiting beside him, with a smile on his face. It was as if he saw money. Maybe it was because there had been no customers in this store for a long time. And when Yi Fei came, the doors here were all closed. Okay, choose this one. It looks pretty good. Yi Fei took a bracelet and looked at it and said with great satisfaction. This bracelet is not very expensive, with few decorations on it, it should be considered a simple style. But the crystal-like pendant on it is very exquisite. Boss, I've made my choice. If possible, please pack it for me. Yi Fei looked at the boss and said with a smile. The boss nodded. My little brother has good taste. I also think this thing is pretty good. That girl should like it very much. The boss took the bracelet carefully and said. Yi Fei smiled and nodded. Of course, you picked out this nice one from the pile just now. What are the others? They are just like toys. But this one shouldn't be crystal either. Yi Fei followed the boss to the front desk. The boss took out a piece of exquisite gift paper from below and began to wrap it. Little brother, this crystal is real. But in the crystal ranking, it is not so outstanding. This one is very finely made. The boss said after packing the bracelet. Yi Fei nodded and said nothing more. He paid the money and walked out of the gift shop slowly. Standing on the street, Yi Fei looked up at the sky. This bracelet directly cost him most of his money. It seems that no matter where you go, you must bring enough money. This is the only way this time. Next time I come to such a far place to carry out a mission, I must bring enough money. Yi Fei seemed a little helpless. Looking at the gift in his hand, the corners of his mouth rose slightly. I believe Miu Miu will like it. It's better to put it away quickly. If it is lost, it will be troublesome. Yi Fei put the gift in his backpack and walked to another place. On the way, he saw a lot of delicious food, most of which he had never seen before. Finally, he decided to find a place to eat. He hadn't eaten properly for such a long time and was already exhausted. Finally, he decided to come to this sushi restaurant. There are relatively many people here, which proves that the taste is also good. Yi Fei was stunned after walking in. There were so many people inside that there was no extra space. This is not going to be easy. I didn't expect it to be so popular. Let's find another place to eat. Yi Fei walked out of the door a little disappointed and looked at other restaurants. After walking for a few minutes, he finally chose to eat ramen. Only the ramen restaurant had few people. Boss, give me a normal ramen. Yi Fei said to the boss very politely. After ordering, he sat there and looked at the guests who were eating around him. After all, he didn't have anything to do now. After waiting for a few minutes, the food he ordered finally arrived in front of him. The oncoming aroma made him drool. He couldn't wait any longer, so he picked up the chopsticks and started eating. Now in his mind, there was only the word, delicious. After eating this bowl of ramen, there was not even any soup left. After paying the bill, he walked out and came to the street again. It is possible that there is nothing to do now, and there are many more people on the street. It's finally getting lively. I wonder what this place looks like at night. Will it be so lively and the lights will not be turned off all night? Yi Fei thought very curiously. Now he thought of something very important, that is, buying chocolate. Maybe they will leave here tonight. If they don't buy chocolate now, it will be too late. Where is the best chocolate sold here? I should have asked someone earlier. Yi Fei had no idea what to do, so he decided to find someone to ask. He asked 2 or 3 people but none of them gave him a clear answer. Finally, he decided to go back to the gift shop and ask the owner. After all, girls should like chocolate. At least that's what Yi Fei thought. He trotted all the way to the store where he bought the gift. He pushed the door open and walked in, just in time to see the owner packing up his things. What's wrong? Is there something wrong with the things I bought? The boss looked at Yi Fei, who suddenly rushed in with some surprise. No, boss, the bracelet is very good without any problems. I just want to ask you where you can buy delicious chocolate. Yi Fei calmed down and asked politely. So that's how it is. The boss seemed to be relieved. He walked out of the counter and came to Yi Fei. I remember there was a store that sold chocolate. I seldom buy chocolate. I've bought it there a few times and it tastes okay. Although it's chocolate, it's not that sweet and not that greasy. The boss thought about it carefully. Yi Fei was very happy to hear about this special chocolate. Miu Miu had said before that she also liked chocolate that was not that sweet. I remember walking along this street for about 400 to 500 meters. Their brand is very special, the whole thing is white. There are only 3 words on it, chocolate. The boss thought about it again. Yi Fei also thought about himself. He didn't go that far just now. After getting the result he wanted, he was very happy. Thank you, you really helped me a lot. Yi Fei bowed excitedly and said. Before the boss said anything, Yi Fei ran out of the store and ran to the place he just said. This kid is really interesting. I probably bought the chocolate for that girl. It's really great to be young. The boss stood at the door and looked at Yi Fei's back, thinking about his childhood. Yi Fei trotted all the way to the place the boss lady just mentioned. Sure enough, a very large white sign appeared in his field of vision. The 3 big words, chocolate, stood there. This name is really simple and powerful. It immediately tells us that this place sells chocolate. Hard work pays off, and now I finally have an explanation. Yi Fei looked at the endless stream of buyers there. This store is very popular and there are a lot of people. If you want to buy chocolate from here, you have to queue up. There are so many people. It looks like we have to wait in line for a long time. Yi Fei came to the end of the line. There were about 20 people in front of him. If he was quick, it would be Yi Fei's turn in a few dozen minutes. It was still early, so he had plenty of time. Option A. Buy a box of white chocolates, completion reward, lightning release, Reikiri. Option B. Buy a box of dark chocolates. Completion reward, all attributes +1. Option C. Buy a box of heart-shaped white chocolates. Completion reward, Miu Miu's favorability +100. When Yi Fei saw option C, his heartbeat gradually accelerated. Compared with ninjutsu, Yi Fei wanted to gain favor more. Sudden surprises are so wonderful. What else can I choose? I must choose C. How can anything compare to Miu Miu's good feelings? Yi Fei stood in line, feeling very good. He didn't expect that he could get the option when buying chocolate this time. And it was also what he wanted most. This was also very lucky. It seems that this trip was not in vain, Yi Fei said with a smile as he looked at the customers who left after buying things. He thought it would take dozens of minutes for these people to buy things. What Yi Fei didn't expect was that it took more than an hour before it was his turn. It was really boring to queue up. It's finally my turn. Boss, give me a box of heart-shaped white chocolates. Oh, I want the ones that are not too sweet. Yi Fei looked at the boss and said happily. No more. The last box has been bought by that girl. If you want it, come early tomorrow. The boss's words shocked Yi Fei, and he was in a bad mood. He came to his senses and immediately started looking for the girl. Finally, he found the girl who bought the last box of chocolates he wanted. He quickened his pace and chased after her. Please wait a moment. Yi Fei shouted loudly. After hearing the voice, the girl stopped and turned to look behind. Because Yi Fei did not see the girl stop at the first time, he did not brake and directly threw the girl to the ground. The distance between the 2 people was only a fist. Ah, hooligan. The girl held the chocolate in her hands, curled up on the ground, closed her eyes and said loudly. Yi Fei stood up in a hurry, feeling a little embarrassed. That's not the case. I'm not a gangster. I'm really sorry just now. I really didn't mean it. Yi Fei explained hurriedly. The girl stood up slowly. She was about to lose her temper. But she was not as angry as before when she saw Yi Fei. After all, how could such a handsome boy be a hooligan? Yi Fei felt that the girl was not so angry, and then he was slightly relieved. Looking at the box of heart-shaped chocolates in the girl's hand, he saw hope again. Success or failure depends on this one move. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.